It's Maddie.
And Bleeves, and we're here to celebrate, I want to say, the victory the Chicago Bears had over the Carolina Panthers, prevailing 16-13. How did it make you feel, Maddie?
It put me to sleep. I didn't even get through the game, honestly. I give so much credit for people who sat through that entire football game. What do you think?
I think bad football is still football. Here's what I felt. I felt like Tyson Bagent was forcing his throws and he was trying to audition for the starting job. He was probably looking to try to send a message.
I like his energy. I see glimpses of like what can be great success in the NFL,
Mhm.
but he's trying to prove a little bit too much now, I feel. After the Vikings game and the game after that, people were trying to say, "Oh, he can't throw, he can't throw." He's here for a reason. He's in the NFL for a reason. But uh, I personally am excited to see Justin Fields back. I just kind of want to see what this team will do with like a quarterback that's been in the league for 3 years now. Um, I think Tyson Bagent is a great backup for right now. But I think I'm praying this week that we get to see Justin Fields on the field.
Well, I think, yeah, and I think that everybody really does. I think we all just want to see a return to whatever for the Chicago Bears is normalcy at this point. Um, and I think that the conversation we had 5 games ago was at the second half of this season, we're going to start to see a different Bears team. We're going to start to see a better Bears team, and we found a rushing game, which was still lacking
Yes.
in the beginning. We found rhythm to the passing game, even if it didn't include Justin Fields. But
Hmm.
we found some rhythm to it, and we found some rhythm to the offensive line. And the defense is improving every single week. And
Except, except they can't tackle anybody. They cannot tackle anybody. You know what? I wish the Bears would just let me, give me the minimum contract and I will go out there and do their job for them. Because why can they not tackle anybody?
so I think that I don't think that that is a real assessment. I think that as defenses go, I think that the Chicago Bears are a pretty
Soft.
decent overall. No, no, no. I think they're a pretty decent team. I think they've given up some yardage, and I think that they could have done better, of course. But let's look at some stats real quick. So if you were to look at these stats, you would say, obviously the Cleveland Browns are giving up the fewest yards per game, followed by the Baltimore Ravens. But listen, there's the Chicago Bears right there. They're not that far down. I mean, they're about halfway through the season. They're about a mid-range defense.
Uh-huh.
And when you look at the points that they've given up and the points per game, then that puts them a little bit further down. They've been giving up some points. However, they had given up quite a few points
In the beginning.
before and ended up not starting the season off very well. When you look at how many yards per game they're giving up in passing, not very good, but you look at what they're doing in the rushing game, and they are the number 2 rushing defense. And you can't become the number 2 rushing defense unless you make tackles. So the
Well, well,
the,
well,
the
well.
lack
Can
of
we talk?
tackling is in certain positions, and that's a fair assessment of the defensive backs. But I think the number 2 overall defense is making tackles.
So my issue is, can we talk about the punt return touchdown then?
Yeah,
Because how many broken tackles was in that?
that's a special teams issue. That's not a defense really
Okay,
issue.
fair. I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
as a collective whole, the Chicago Bears cannot tackle anybody.
So let me devil's advocate. Let me throw some more statistics because I know you like that. Um, let's look at the last. I mean, these are the games, right? Right. What we have on the screen right now are basically the games in which there was some sort of Tyson Bagent in it.
Okay.
And we start off with first of all, they have 2 wins. They won 30-12 over the Raiders, and they won 16-13 over the Panthers. In the meantime, the only game they got blown out was the Chargers. So X that off. It is entirely possible that we're looking at a 5-5 team because at the end of this game here, despite throwing that interception, they had a chance to win.
Yeah,
Same thing for the Bears and the Saints. Despite 5 turnovers,
true.
they
Only one
still had a
touchdown.
chance to win. So what I say is they're not as bad a team as what we really thought about them. And if you just consider for a second, I have to wipe this out, but if you consider here that they're averaging giving up 25 points a game, right? Only one of their last 5 games has been more than that.
Yeah,
So they've turned the corner defensively. They've become a much better team defensively, or at least they've stopped the scoring a lot better. And that's gotta mean something. And I feel like going into whatever we're getting ready to do, whatever is getting ready to happen with the Lions on Sunday, I feel like this is going to be a better team. And will they shock the Lions? I don't think that the Lions are a legit number one um, in the league in the NFC North team to begin with. But then again, who is? So
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it might as well be them.
Um, so I was reading on Twitter a little bit. You think Justin Fields comes back or no?
So I would think that the reason that he was listed as doubtful this past week, and we went back and forth about this over Matt Eberflus and his comments the other day in that presser about being doubtful. Well, if he's doubtful, that means there's a possibility he's playing, and then Eberflus was like, "No, he's not playing." Well, then why is he doubtful? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I could see I could see what was going on there. They were trying to press him like, isn't it irresponsible to have him as an active or emergency or have him on the roster of the field
yeah,
if he's not going to play? But you know what Eberflus is saying is he's day to day. So, if he feels like he can go and he can show that he can go, and Thursday morning he was feeling good and his thumb was working pretty well and he could go, then he was going to go.
yeah,
So I feel like he was saying like there's no chance that he's going to play because they're going to give Tyson that 4th game because he's already prepped for it, he's already ready for it. But what I think what they were saying was, Justin Fields in a pinch can do something. And
yeah,
can he throw the ball pretty well? Probably not. Like he's going to have to test that thumb for a little while. He's going to have to test it to see if he can, because you got to squeeze the ball a certain way, and there's going to be some pain involved. So, I mean, in the old days, it was just a cortisone shot and let's go. So, will they do that for this next game? Is he coming in? I think he is.
I think he's gonna come back too. And we have a 10-day break, so it's more recovery time. But I did just see speculation because people are like, "Oh, we're tanking. Justin Fields not even gonna come back." Blah blah blah. I think he's gonna come back. I don't know the future of the team, but I'm just excited. I hope Justin Fields is on the field.
What do you do uh, if they get on a win streak? I mean, we've already decided we don't like Matt Eberflus, right? But what if, devil's advocate here, what if for the rest of this season, this defense is starting to play lights out, and for the rest of this season, the offense is starting to open up and perform a lot better? Are the improvements enough to save Matt Eberflus' job? And if it is, what about Luke Getzey? Because it would be my impression that he's got to go. But I mean, what do you do?
So, Matt Eberflus is a defensive-minded coach. We all know that,
Mhm.
and we already have seen the progression, like with the defense. It's overall the defense is good. I think they're soft in aspects, but that's just my opinion. Overall, we have a pretty solid defense. I mean, adding Montez Sweat, he added so much pressure this past game. I just think we could take it one step higher even. We can be even better. But I think if we go on a win streak, which of course we all want to see that, um, I think it saves his job. I do, you know. But if you're reviewing the whole season as a whole, you just got to look at Luke Getsy and the lack of the offense. Like, the offense is clearly a problem, you know. And I do think our O-line is the root of it all. Like, I'm not gonna lie, we've had O-line problems for years, but that comes with like finding players. But calling the game, Luke Getsy should not. I would not go forward with him. I wouldn't.
All right. So what about Kyle Long?
The
Did
old
you
Bears
see?
player?
Did you see what Kyle Long was saying?
No, no. I haven't been on Twitter
Um,
too much recently, but what'd he say?
he's been in the camp of, so his idea for the way to quote unquote fix the Bears right now is to stay the course. He said, let's give
Wow.
up. Let's stick with Justin Fields.
I
Let's
agree.
give up the number one or number two, whatever pick, draft down. Like, let's do some trading. Let's get some better picks throughout the rest of the draft, and let's rebuild this roster. And then one of his things was pointing out that, you know, the last time, and Maddie, I know that you live in the past. I know specifically that you live
I
in the
do.
year 2018.
I do.
And
Okay. I do.
and in the year 2018, Mitchell Trubisky was a rookie just coming into the league, and we had high hopes, we had high dreams. And what did we also have? Was it 10 wins? Was
We
it
had 12
12
wins. We
wins?
had 12
Was it was
wins.
it was it
We were
14
12 and 4.
wins? It was
Oh
12 and
God.
4. There you
Sorry.
go. So we were 12 and 4 in that year. And I do an honest assessment here. What was the talent like at that time versus the talent
Okay.
right now?
So the lack of offensive talent was extremely evident. Our defense made up for it. Oh my God. I got too angry that my tripod fell. We overall offensively were garbage. We were garbage. Our only help was Allen Robinson. You know, that was his name, right? I can't remember exactly, right?
Mhm.
We were garbage offensively. Defensively, it was insane watching that defense. Oh my God. I miss it to this day. But
Matt Forte, you're garbage. Okay, this is according to Matt.
no.
I handled
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Okay, they weren't the best offensively overall. But I don't like we rode the course with Mitch though, and I don't think that got us anywhere.
Well, the question is, was that physically and athletically a better and more talented team than today?
Absolutely not.
You think today's team is better?
Talent wise, yes, I do.
Okay.
Don't
Kyle
you?
Long disagrees. Kyle Long says that the 2018 team had far more talent, and the reason that it had far more talent was because it had the depth to make the moves and the plays,
Okay.
and it had skill positions. I mean, you still had Charles Tillman there, you still had Matt Forte there, you still had Kyle Long there, you still had
True.
pieces that were in place that were more athletically gifted and more talented than what you currently have now. It is possible that you look at someone like Khalil Herbert, or you look at somebody like Deontay Foreman, and you say, well, they're really good. Well, yeah, but they're not Matt Forte. I mean, we do have to stop and let's go back to Matt Forte. Even though Matt Forte was a guy that was in the Marshall Faulk mold, where he could run for 1,000 and receive for 1,000. Like, he was that talented, and just maybe a little bit underutilized in many different aspects, but that was a great squad. You don't go 12 and 4 in the NFL by being mediocre or not very good
Yeah,
with
that
a
I mean that's
rookie
true.
quarterback. So
Sometimes I think I get blinded by like the fact that Mitch Trubisky was our quarterback. You know, when you think of NFL teams and football teams, you think of like a great quarterback. When you're successful, usually you do.
Mhm.
And in my eyes, I just didn't think Mitch was that guy, you know, and offensively they didn't like they were fun. It was the defense that always stood out, making every play that like won us games. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It just kind of was like that year, it was so special. Like the offense honestly was just overshadowed by the great defense that was
Mhm.
there. Um, and I feel like in the end it got exposed because the offense couldn't lead us, to scoring enough
Yeah.
points that so I don't know. I mean, I I think this year we just have a lot of big names too on our roster. And you would think like, I mean, we have some big names, and you would think that that would, lead to success. And we just haven't like put it together yet.
Okay. Um, I would say that we have a bunch of unproven youngsters in the defense that are growing every day. We
Okay.
have perhaps maybe I mean, Lucas Patrick, isn't he a Darnell Wright is a rookie, right? Lucas
True.
Patrick is the second year player. Cody
He puts
Whitehair is
gotta
ready
go.
to
He's got to
retire.
go.
I mean, like I
Where's the
don't know,
boot?
like who's the star? DJ Moore, but I mean, this
I
is
like
his
Cole
time in
Komet. Come on,
Chicago.
man.
Darnell Mooney is an underachieving downfield sort of threat
Yeah.
that, maybe given a little bit more time, the offensive line
Jalen
improves.
Johnson. What do you mean? Your favorite.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson. Well, when he's not giving up on plays, I'll admit I do like him. When he's not giving up on plays and saying, not my problem. But there's talent. There's always talent on the team. I just don't think that it rose to the occasion of the 2018 team. I think that 2018 team was made to win now, and I don't think this team is. I think this team is built for the
Okay.
future.
That's fair.
So I get the sense here that Justin Fields, second half, will start to improve. We'll start to see a better team. But what Kyle Long says is, let's play the end of the season. We know we're not going to be great, but let's play hard, play well. Let's get our draft picks down, and let's start to rebuild this roster with some depth and some talent. Let Ryan Poles do what Ryan Poles does. Make the changes after the end of the season. If Getsy's got to go, Getsy's got to go. If he's not getting it, if he's not understanding Justin Fields, get somebody who does. Get him someone. Who's that guy? The old Notre Dame quarterback, Tommy Reese. Um, Tommy Reese is at Alabama right now, and they have a young cat there that they've molded the offense around. And his name was
Hmm.
Jalen, by the way. Um, I, I don't remember what his last name was, but I was watching it Saturday night. They brought him in. He wasn't doing very well at the beginning of the season. They lost a game, and Alabama's not really used to losing games, but
Yeah.
they lost a game and they weren't very good offensively. So what did Tommy Reese do? He designed the entire offense around all of his strengths. He stopped everything they were doing because they were doing it wrong. And he changed the
Mhm.
entire offense to fit with this young kid. And he spent extra time working with him. He spent all this different time getting it together. And guess what? Alabama has turned the corner in this guy. I think he's got 11 touchdowns in the last two games.
Wow.
And he's just been, I mean, he's been crushing. And he's turned into, a lot of people are saying, like, if it were not for the beginning of the season and the first 4 games of the season, like the last 5 games, he's the Heisman winner.
Yeah.
So, you know, what do? You get somebody like Getsy, get him out, and then bring in somebody like Tommy Reese, who understands, like a quarterback whisperer. And then what happens? Then what can you do with Justin Fields? So that's what Kyle Long, I think, is really talking about. Like, let's just ride Justin Fields. You got one more year before he goes into his contract, so let's not be hasty here. Let's ride this out. Let's do this. Tyson Bagent's good enough as a backup that just in
Yeah,
case
I
something
agree.
happens, and he'll be better probably with a little bit of time. But the rest of the team is young enough at skill positions that they're just going to get better. They're going to improve. They're going to start to coalesce and just be better than they are right now. And what happens then? And his response is, now you've rebuilt a team. And whether Matt Eberflus is the guy at the end of next year remains to be seen. But for right now, just stay the course and do your thing.
You know, I agree with that. Um, the 2018 team just has a special place in my heart for heartbreak and how much I loved it. But I think I went into this season expecting a little too much. And I'm okay with admitting that. I think a lot of us did, and that's why I think I'm so frustrated in a way. I expected too much from a team that is not yet fully complete. And I think I'm starting to
I
realize
agree.
that there's a little bit there's too many like small tweaks that we need to make that we're not like that we don't have this year to reach the full success. But I went into the season thinking I don't want to draft a quarterback. Like I don't want to draft a quarterback. I want to draft other pieces to build around what we have. So I do agree with what Kyle Long says. I just, you know, 2018 offense still hurts my heart. I give Mitch Trubisky credit, but oh my God, we should have won the
Well,
Super Bowl that
here's
year.
the thing. Let's put it back up here and let's at least consider that if the Bears had put together just a little bit more, just a little
Just
bit
a
more,
little.
then this game would have been more competitive and could have ended up a victory with the Buccaneers. That could have beaten the Broncos for sure. They were the
Oh
worst
my
team in the
God, we
league,
should have beat those mother.
right? Vikings should have been or could have been a victory.
Yeah, you
The
can't
Panthers
predict that
were, and the
technically. I feel.
Saints again. Self-fulfilling prophecy. You could have had a much better one here. So all of a sudden, this 3-7 team with those four wins right there becomes a 7-3 team,
Yeah,
and a little better improved play from the defense and the offense. But I mean, let's go back here and let's look. This is the reason that we're talking about the defense at this point because they gave up 38 points in the opener, then they gave up 41 points to the Chief.
oh
They
jeez,
gave
that
up
was ugly.
27 to the Bucks. They gave up 31 to the Broncos. This was the issue, right? You can give up 30 points to the Chargers because the Chargers are going to score 30 points, right? But
Yeah,
you should be able to stop the Packers at this point. You should have been able to hold the Buccaneers. Um, you know, so
you know what?
there were some missed opportunities early on that turned this team into a 3-7 team instead of a 7-3 team. But imagine what you'd be feeling like. You'd be thinking this team is a whole lot better,
Yeah,
even if it were no better, with just a little bit more luck in the right places and just one less turnover in each game gives you that opportunity for a win multiple times. Um, like what I kept saying at the beginning of this year, the second half of the season probably gonna be a lot better
yeah,
because
you
the
did say
team
that.
will continue to improve. And that was also the Philadelphia Eagles did that. And a lot of people have talked about the Eagles method that of building the team, and I think that that's kind of what was going on here. And we're not seeing it right now. We haven't seen it, and there's so much heartache in Chicago. There's so much
Yeah,
just angst about the one thing that you want to be able to rely on is not necessarily that the Bears are a good team, but that the Bears can beat the Packers. That's it. As long as the Bears can beat the Packers, then the rest of the season is okay. And dealing with that, and then this just Aaron Rodgers, being who he was for so long,
yeah,
it just made people here even more angry at the Bears for any and everything when in fact, maybe this is just so close to turning it around. And maybe the team is right. Maybe Luke Getzey is the right guy. Maybe Matt Eberflus is the right guy. There's a lot of people debating and fighting, saying, no, he's not. No, they're not. But these are also the people that 2 years ago, 3 years ago said, oh, these are the guys you have to hire. These are the smart plays. These are the
yeah.
people that you have to put in place. So the analysts, I don't worry about those. They give you information, but I don't believe that they're always right. But you see the product on the field. The product has to be improved. The coaches know that it has to be improved. So
You
now it's
know,
just a matter of improving it.
I will like. I can't believe I'm actually saying this because I can't stand when he speaks to the media. Matt Eberflus, like he just sounds a little silly. Um, but I do give him credit because clearly he made some type of adjustment in the defense. I mean, statistic wise, you look at that in the first 3, 4 games, they're scoring over 25 points, and
Mhm.
then he did make a change. And I know players came off the injury list, like there was stuff like that, but he did see something and he went out there. Well, not went out there, but you know what I mean? He made the change. And so I don't know. I don't know about Luke Getzey, whatever, but to me, if we do have success in the second half of the season, I think Matt Eberflus will be there. I don't know about Luke Getzey, but if the defense is working, it's just, it's that offense.
Yeah, so you got 6 games left. What if, or 7 games left now? It's 17 game season. So
Yeah.
what if in the next 7 games they average 30 points a game?
Hey, our predictions usually are high scoring, so
Yeah.
I think we'd love to see that. I don't know. I don't know. I want to see Justin Fields back. I think Cole Kmet has been more active. I think he's getting more touches, which I love. I think DJ Moore, some games he like some halves he'll have a lot of looks, and then the next half he'll have like two. So I think they got to be a little bit more consistent with like just getting him touches. Um, and what's his name? Dante Foreman.
Deontay, yeah.
He's great.
Hmm.
He is great. And I want to see what he can do with Justin Fields because Tyson Bagent, he's active. He avoids sacks, but he doesn't run as much as Justin Fields. So I kind of want to see when Foreman and Fields are together, how do defenses adapt to that? So,
Well, because we don't know yet, and because we have 7 more days before we have
yeah.
to figure it out, we're not going to do a prediction yet. We're going to save that one for a little bit closer to game time, and we'll see how the team lines up and how things are feeling and how they're looking. And we'll check the injury report. And I have a crazy dog.
I see it. So
Yeah.
cute.
So until then, what do you think of the offense? What did you get? What did you grade?
I don't think they're scoring enough. Um, I think our run game is really good. We make efficient throws somewhat. Like it just depends on the half. Like they're just average. I'm sorry, they're just a C. They are a C. They're not a D because they're at least producing something, but they're nothing above average because they can barely win games. So, what do you
Defense
give
gave up.
them?
I'm going to go with C as well. I probably would have said D until you convinced me with that to say C, because even though what I think is you got to be able to score 28 points a game. You have to be able
Yeah,
to score
I agree.
28 points a game, and 16 points is just not enough. Like it's okay if you're only giving up 13 points, but the Bears are giving up 25 points on average. You have to score 28 to be successful. So that's what I'm going to say. And I can see her little head sticking up.
Yeah, I can see it.
So I'm going to say I was going to say D, but yeah, I'll go with C. But I'm going to say C minus. What about the defense? What do you think the defense?
you know, Besides them not being able to tackle anybody sometimes, um, holding teams to like under 20 has been impressive. I would like to see them force a little bit more turnovers. But that's just me because that makes me happy. I would give them a B minus. Uh, you know, they're slightly above average. The stats still show though they're giving up 25 points per game. And we as fans know that it's improving, but the statistic wise, it still is pretty high. Um, Overall, I think yeah, B or B minus, I think. What about you?
I'm going to say a B, and I'm going to stick with that. Um, the way so you learn how to tackle in junior leagues. You learn how to tackle in high school. So you either know how to tackle or you don't know how to tackle. But one of the things about tackling is I can tell you that there were times when Brian Urlacher just whiffed on a tackle. It wasn't often, but there were times when it would happen.
Yeah.
But the problem was there was always backup. That was a team that swarmed to the ball. This team is not as good yet at swarming to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So when TJ Edwards tries to do a shoulder tackle or some kind of boneheaded, I'm going to use my athleticism to get it, and it doesn't work. He also doesn't slow people down because
Yeah.
he's not savvy enough to do that. But if that starts to happen and we start to see, it's not always about taking that guy down. It's about slowing them down so that you get your help to come in and help you make the play. So if we can do a little bit better on that, then I think that the missed tackles, which there will be, because look, you're asking grown men to tackle grown men. Sometimes a
I
grown
know.
man will beat you, and sometimes you'll beat him. So I don't put too much to it. And you can't look you when you're grown ups and you're getting paid, you don't stop and learn how to tackle again. You either can
Yeah.
or you can't. So you know, cornerbacks probably never going to tackle. Jalen Johnson doesn't mind it, but we'll see how it plays out. But overall, I'm going to say B, and that they're really starting to come together and put it. Like to see more pressure. The reason that you can't give them anything other than a B, and like you said, B minus probably is because you gotta have some sacks. You gotta
I
make the
agree.
quarterback uncomfortable, and they're getting better and they're getting closer. They're just not there yet.
I agree. I thought they had really good pressure this past game, but then Young would get out of it. And then our secondary isn't making the tackle, and that's when I'm like fuming. So but I just think they're right there. I really do.
So
Study how to tackle.
Bryce Young is kind of like Justin Fields in that
I
he's got
agree.
that athleticism.
Yes.
So they're used to missing Justin Fields in practice. Missing Bryce Young in practice was nothing new.
Yeah,
He's a great
that's
athlete
true.
and a great player. So, you have to look, not everybody's Lamar Jackson, but
You and your love for him.
he's a transcendent star. He's going to be the MVP in the league again. There's his ability to be elusive, his ability to accelerate, his ability is like nobody else in the league right now. And I think he's
Yeah.
averaging like 70% completion. Like just
Wow.
he's really turned into more and more and more of a leader and just a catalyst for the Baltimore Ravens offense. But because he's from Louisville, I'm always going to be like yay yay yay. But the interesting thing about it is he's above everybody at this point. Like
Yeah.
he makes the insanity looks sane. He makes
Yeah.
the crazy look logical. Like he's just got this ability that nobody else currently has. So the closest thing to it, in fact, is Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Like that's the closest thing to it in the league at this moment. So in the event that Justin Fields can figure it out and put himself in just a tiny, just a little another half second, another second, and Luke Getzey figures out how to, make sure that there's an outlet. Always make sure that there's a receiver that he's acknowledging the change ups that are needed, and maybe they start allowing Justin Fields to develop where he can start making checkdowns and call out of the plays if he's seeing something on the defense. Because to this point, he's not really doing a lot of that. Maybe that's the catalyst that changes everything. And if it does, then at some point, maybe Lamar Jackson is number two at that point.
We'd love to see that.
I
Sorry.
wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't. I would. No offense. I want Justin
But
Fields
yeah,
at the top.
yeah, I want to see Justin Fields succeed. I want to see him, take his place. Um, he was drafted as the greatest quarterback that the Bears have had in 50 years, since Sid Luckman. So let's go. Like
Yeah,
like now is the time. So
I agree.
maybe, just maybe, in the next couple of days, this will be the start of it. And I don't think he's going to come back very strong. I think he's going to come back. He's going to have some problems. He's going to have a little trouble throwing. He'll have some problem with grip. He'll have to get back up to game speed. But then once he does, I think that the party's on, and I think the Bears are going to have a strong rest of the second half. They've got 2 wins in their last 4 games after no wins in how many games did Justin Fields start without winning a game?
4.
14 in a row.
Oh, I think meant this year. Wow.
Yeah, it was 14 or 15 games in a
We don't need to
row.
talk about that. We don't need to talk about
Yeah,
that.
but now We've got 3 wins in, was it 5 or 6 games?
Yeah.
3 wins in 6 games. So, this is a different team. This is the team that's improving. So the next step is to start having a winning record, or at least, get to 8-8 for the season. It'll be a monster success from the beginning.
I agree. And then Super Bowl. So that's all we need.
And then Super Bowl. All right, that's it for now. So my name is Bleeves,
I'm Maddie.
and we will talk to you again very, very soon.